west to the east, to the bottom, to the middle, to the top. 7 connections to 7 directions, 7 connections, and we don't stop. From the north to the south, to the west, to the east, to the bottom, to the middle, to the top. 7 connections to 7 directions, 7 connections, and we don't stop, we don't stop. Before we can receive the gifts life gave us, we've got...
Good morning. This is Holly Million, the founder and executive director of Artists United, and I have Jasmine Kainy here with me today on Artists United Television. I'm so pleased to have her. I want to say a little bit about Artists United as we start this show. Artists United is a nonprofit organization based in Oakland, California, and working throughout the United States and worldwide. We are a movement of artists. We are an artist-led movement for the economic empowerment and political empowerment of artists worldwide. We bring artists together across all disciplines. So we have filmmakers, painters, dancers, musicians, writers, animators, graphic designers, craft artists, muralists, you name it, we have them. We brought them together, and we are officially a 501c3 nonprofit in the United States. We've been approved for our charitable status, and we are excited. It's been only 2 years since we've been working, but we're growing rapidly. We have set a goal of signing up 100,000 people as free members of Artists United, and as of today, we have 32,000 people signed up. It's growing quickly. We have a board of 45 people across the United States who are in charge of our organization and who are helping our programs to grow. We also have people who represent us in other countries where we have started Artists United chapters and planted the seeds for future growth. Some of our earliest chapters are in Poland and in Spain. Our Spanish chapter is the largest one we have, with approximately 150 people as members. Our chapter in Poland is about to host its very first Artists United Artist Networking event in October near the German-Poland border. We're very excited about that. And also on our International Program Committee, which is the group of people representing our chapters in other countries, we have Jasmine, who's representing Israel. And Jasmine was on our inaugural board of Artists United. She came to the U.S. for our very first board meeting in Oakland, California. I am thrilled to have her involvement with Artists United in Israel and helping to bring in partner organizations she's already helped us connect with. And Jasmine herself is a filmmaker, as am I, so I'm very pleased to be working with her and have her on the show today. Jasmine, welcome.
Thank you, Holly. Welcome.
Thank you. And tell everybody a little bit more about yourself. You've made so many wonderful films and you do great work. Can you just share a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. Let me just say that I'm both American and Israeli. I was born in San Francisco and I went to school in San Francisco State University. And I moved back to Israel in '95 and started working as a freelance director. I've done not only documentary work, but mostly documentary work. And in the past 3 years, I've done 2 series of 5 episodes each. And I know whoever's doing documentaries, you know, it's just an immense amount of work. And I do mostly, I'd say, human interest in a sense. I'm politically involved, but not sort of in the usual way. I think politics is everything. It's feminism, and it's fighting racism, and it's all these things. And politics is very much in our very day-to-day life here in Israel. You cannot really wake up in the morning and avoid it. Like you kind of, at least I could do that when in my years in the Bay Area. You can't avoid that if you wish.
If you wish,
here
it's getting harder. It's getting a lot harder.
It's getting harder. So here you can't really avoid that. My last series, the documentaries series and singles that I do air here in Israel. I've had a couple that were shown abroad as well, like for National Geographic, and also in Europe in festivals. My last series, called White Country, deals with racism against Ethiopian original Ethiopian Jews Jews who were born here, but their parents came from Ethiopia, so they're dark-skinned, and unfortunately get discriminated against, I guess, in a similar way than you have, race relations in the U.S. It's kind of similar the way it is here. And I was fortunate enough to find 5 people who were willing for me to sort of dive into their lives and follow them for about a year. And it's made a lot of noise here. And I'm hoping to translate that and get it out in the world, because I think the only way to really deal with these topics is to air them as much as possible. So that's basically about myself.
Oh, that's
I
wonderful.
live in just outside Tel Aviv, so yeah.
Wonderful. So you're from the Bay Area, so you know that we have a very vibrant, thriving film community here. And of course, you went to San Francisco State. You're connected to our board member, Michelle Wolf, and that's how we were able to connect with you. And so very exciting to hear about your success also with your series, and so timely. And these are universal themes about how we as people can get along. So thank you for making such wonderful films. I think it would be important for people who are watching, because we have viewers from all over the world, because our Artists United network is worldwide and very diverse. But a lot of us are artists. For us, First Amendment issues in the United States and just freedom of expression in general as artists is critical to our ability to make art and to share our viewpoints in the world. And if we don't have that, then we as artists really have no expression. So setting the context here for the viewers, could you explain what is the current situation in Israel and how does that affect you as an artist?
Well, I think things have been changing here, sort of constricting the dialogue or the self-expression of whoever doesn't agree with the current government and the right-wing agenda. Things have changed for the worst slowly. And now we're at a point where, people like myself, and I should say my parents, who are also artists, asking ourselves, what is the limit? What is the cutoff point where you say, I cannot stand this anymore? And where is my presence actually needed here? And I want just to explain this, just sort of to understand. Palestinian artists, painters, writers, poets, are much more, I should say, in danger than Jews, okay? As a Jew, even if I do something that, for example, criticizes the government or the actions of the government and says really sort of harsh things and saying, this nationalism law is nationalistic, it's racist, it discriminates against people who are not Jews in this country, this was not meant to be. Even if I do this, I might get trolls on the internet, or I might get, mail that I don't want to get, but I'm not, my job is not at risk, and my life is not at risk. Recently, there was a poet, a Palestinian woman who's a poet. Her name is Doreen Tatour, and she wrote poems and published poems that go against the government and the way the government treats the Palestinian minority here. Now, we need to understand that there are Palestinians that are Israeli citizens, and there are Palestinians who live in the territories and in Gaza who are not Israeli citizens. But I'm talking about Palestinians who are citizens of this country.
You froze up.
Can you
just
still
for,
hear me?
Yeah, you froze up for just a second, but not to worry. You're still here.
Okay.
I think we're doing pretty well considering this technology is relatively new, and you're in Israel, and I'm in Oakland, California. So thank you, technology, and you're back.
Thank you.
So you were talking about the difference between Palestinians who are Israeli citizens versus those who live in the territories.
Right. So Doreen is a poet, and she's an Israeli citizen, and she wrote a poem that points a finger to the government saying that she feels oppressed and she will fight for her freedom. And, you know, you can argue if the poem is good literary or not, but in any way, it expressed her feelings, and it expressed the feelings of many Palestinians who feel that they are being constricted and don't have a space to be Palestinian and speak Arabic, and just not be discriminated against or fought against or looked upon as enemies. And she is in jail. She was prosecuted and she's in jail for words that she wrote. I mean, my friends and myself, we demonstrated, we collected money to help her legal defense. And I have to say there are a lot of Israelis who, especially in the artistic community, filmmakers, media people who are helping or trying to help this situation. But we lost. I mean, she's in jail. And just the fact that someone could be imprisoned because of a poem they wrote, that is just insane. Not to say that this didn't have precedence in history. I mean, even before Benjamin Netanyahu became prime minister, my stepfather is an artist, and he made a drawing that was criticizing or sort of making a comparison between the occupation in the territories and what happened in Germany in the 1930s and 1940s. And that was shown in a gallery in Haifa, which is a mixed city that has Palestinians and Jews in it. And someone told one of the right-wing politicians about it, and he came and he took it off the wall and he trashed it. You would think that some measure would be taken against that politician. No. My father was the one who had to go to the police and explain himself. So, I mean, nothing happened to him. Again, he wasn't prosecuted or anything for making that drawing. But that kind of the feeling that whatever it is that you say that is against the policies, the government policies, is frowned upon, and that you are attacked for having these views, and there's no ability for people who think differently than you to actually just listen to the words. I teach in the Hebrew University, and I can tell you that there are Arab students and Jewish students there, and they don't talk to each other. And in my classes, I teach writing and presenting the news, so it's very political. In that class, and also I teach documentary making, but the guys, the students who take that class are sort of more open-minded. But the class that's open to everybody, and these students, these young people come in, and you can see there's no communication. Now, the reason there's no communication is that when you have, for years and years, hatred being sort of seeping through the messages that the government puts out and the responses that your prime minister has, then these kids grow up thinking that they're better than others because they're Jews. I mean, and that's something that is very difficult to live with. So it's not, I don't feel threatened in the sense that I cannot put out whatever it is I want to put out, but if I want to do something that's against the occupation, I'm probably not going to be able to raise money for it. If I want to do something that is blatantly against the current regime, I'm probably going to get a lot of trolls in the internet trashing me, okay, on Twitter or Facebook or whatever that is. And recently it's been, Facebook is kind of, here in Israel, is kind of in a situation where a lot of times they close down pages of people who are political activists, not understanding that what they're doing, by the fact that they're closing them down, they're actually helping the government. Now, I don't know if they understand the political situation here, but they are narrowing our ability to express ourselves. I mean, there have been, I think, 5 or 6 political activists who have been not, their pages were closed on Facebook.
And what did Facebook say about why they had closed their pages? What are they saying on their pages? That does it violate their policy, or they don't give a reason?
They don't give a reason. They don't give a reason. And I try to use, I know someone who works at Facebook in Los Angeles, and I was trying to communicate with her and see if I can find what the reason is. But I guess it maybe scared her a bit to be involved in something that's against the government here. So it's like we have no help. I mean, we're closed within ourselves, and there's just no way to get out.
I'd like to offer some help right now, because Facebook is here just in the backyard of Artists United, where we're headquartered in Oakland, and I do know people that work at Facebook. So I'd like to go to them with this question and see what they can at least give us some answers. So with your permission, can I bring this issue to the Facebook context that Artists United has to try to help find some answers?
Absolutely. I can write to these political activists who are friends of mine, of course, and, tell them that this is an option that we have, and make sure that it's okay with them to give out their names, so that I think the people who shut them down, it's like they don't even understand that these are people who only do good things. I mean, they're helping refugees, they're helping Syrians who come to Israel and need medical help. I mean, these are people who are human rights activists. I mean, why shut them down? And I don't think that it's because they want to toe the line with the government. I think they just don't understand, the situation here, which is complex.
So what you're describing to me, what I'm hearing is about there's a phrase we use called a chilling effect, having a chilling effect, right? Yes. So what you're saying is that the laws don't preclude people from speaking or making art that covers controversial subjects or expresses unpopular opinions, but there are still repercussions, and the repercussions are in the potential for attack, personal attack, or I heard you say also something about funding. I know we've talked about this before. There's a damaging effect on filmmakers who want to apply for grants or get government money. So what you're saying is you will be punished in some way through taking a stand or expressing something in your art. Is that the nature of things? Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, I have to make it clear. Palestinian artists suffer the most. I mean, the current Minister of Culture, her name is Miri Regev, and she has a big mouth, and she uses platforms like the Cannes Film Festival and places like that to sort of push, I would say, Israeli nationalism. But that put aside, she has taken away funding from two Arab-Israeli theater ventures, one in Haifa and one in Jaffa. She has spoken against documentary films that bring out alternative narratives, historical narratives about the occupation and about this narrative that the Palestinians just ran away and that's why the Jews settled there. And I'm talking about very serious documentaries that ended up finding funds abroad. So, and she's been changing the way that funds are given so that she has more control. So basically censorship, which has been abolished here about, 25 years ago, is slowly seeping through. And there is really nothing that we can do about it except protest. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's really, she has the power. We don't have the power to change that.
Yeah.
And I can say, because I was a lecturer on one of the film funds, and I can tell you that the head of that film fund, said to us, the lecturers, she said, of course, if you think something is good, you give it a high mark. If you think something is not good, you give it a low mark. But please take into consideration when it comes to political topics that even if you choose that, I might not be able to get the funding for it. because she has to send them, the reviews. She has to, and also I might be penalized just for backing that. So it might not be direct, sort of penalizing, but it's going to come from some way.
So it's subtle, still somewhat subtle, although it's now on the surface. You can see what's going on, but
Absolutely.
there's backlash against those who try to espouse different views. So, so definitely that would have strong impact. I know as a filmmaker, it's such an intensely costly art form that you need your access to your funding. So if your funding sources are threatened, it's definitely a chilling effect on your ability to make your art. But you did say something important there, Jasmine, which you said that the only recourse is to protest, right? So, and I know that you are protesting. You've been in protests. Can you tell us what is taking shape and what those protests look like?
Well, there are a lot of demonstrations everywhere. Actually, there's a sort of an ongoing vigil every week, every Saturday evening in different places in the country. I mean, not just in Tel Aviv, which is sort of the obvious place, but also in other cities. And there's it's a small group, but it's a very sort of stubborn group. And I think this. If you're an artist, you have to be stubborn. I mean, persistence is, a 90% of success. So persistence really helps, and we're sort of keeping each other sort of with energy to keep doing this and keeping each other optimistic about this. I can say that my whole family is involved because, I have sisters. One's a painter and one's a dancer, and she has like this theater dance troupe, and they do things that are also very political, not getting funding from anywhere. So we are all like targets in a sense. And we say, okay, since we're targets anyway, we might as well just go out and protest. So it doesn't matter. But we know, I know this because I also do like sort of journalistic documentaries. I know that the police is photographing and cataloging every person who shows up for more than one or two protests. So I know I'm on the list, but I don't care.
Good. Thank you for being so courageous and also taking the time to talk to us about this on Artists United Television. I want to give you some updates on some things I think you'll find encouraging and supportive as well. One of the things, Jasmine, is that Artists United has made a commitment that artists' legal support is one of our priorities. We are here to serve artists. We are helping empower individual artists to create excellent art and uniting all artists to create social change. And we start by, first of all, addressing the basic needs that all artists have. So this year we focus on housing, but in addition, we see artist business development as a key and also artist legal support as a key. So we formed a partnership with a nonprofit organization in the United States called the First Amendment Coalition, and they have traditionally been supporting journalists with their First Amendment issues: freedom of expression, access to government records, freedom from censorship. And through Artists United, we have a partnership, and they are extending their free legal hotline to artists for the first time, and have attorneys who are standing by ready to answer questions about First Amendment issues, whether an artist is being censored or if they are being sued for the art that they have created, or they're being prevented from exhibiting their art, or whatever those issues are. So for artists in the United States, this legal hotline is available through your being a member of Artists United. You get priority access, but that is only the beginning. We are making a commitment to start a legal defense team that will be international in scope, and I'm now recruiting attorneys from all over the world who want to volunteer to be part of that, to help represent artists like Doreen, the Palestinian poet, or I know of people in Turkey, and we have an Artists United chapter in Turkey. People are being persecuted there for their art. There are Iranian artists who are in jail right now. There are artists in China who are in jail. We have an Artists United chapter in China as well. So we see the need. There's a need for an international cadre of attorneys who are willing to volunteer. So I'm going to use this show as the place to announce that we're issuing a call. And anybody who is seeing this show, if you know of attorneys who may be willing to help, please send them to us, and we will incorporate them into this project that we now are launching. So Jasmine, I also want to thank you, because you were the one that raised my awareness about what's going on in Israel. I had no idea. And I can see this as a trend of our times. There's a worldwide tendency in our institutions and government to hang on to power and the old ways, which are really in a process of decay. And they're just in a desperate move to try to control the way that we express ourselves. But I love that you're out there on the front lines. We're here too. Artists United is here to help the artists. I want to ask those who are listening, if you'd like to get involved with Artists United, please visit our website at artistsunited.net. That's artists, plural, united.net. We need volunteers. We need board members. If you'd like to be on our international program committee helping represent another country, please let me know. You can donate and support our cause. We are a charity in the United States. And again, the website is artistsunited.net. And with that, I want to thank Jasmine Kainy, who has been involved for these first 2 years with Artists United. Thank you, Jasmine, for being on our international program committee and for the bright light that you're shining through your art and yourself in Israel and around the world.
Thank you, Holly. Thanks so much for this opportunity. It's really important that people understand what's going on here. You know, people like to say Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East. Well, I hope it's going to stay that way, because it's not that great right now. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and it may not be great, but thank you. You are great, and I love what you're doing. And please do send us the link for your new film if there's a way we can share that. I'd love for people to see this. It's important work. All right, thanks, Jasmine, and we're going to talk again soon. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.